Morning! One of the things that I want to talk about was the strategy behind our property portfolio, because it's one thing just to accumulate properties over time, but eventually you want to do something with that, right? Essentially what we're going to do is hold these properties for the next 7 years, and then we're going to sell them down over a couple of financial years to try and minimize the capital gains tax, and then we are going to put that into a commercial building. All right, so let's talk about real estate and the process that I took to generate a portfolio that's worth about $4.5 to $5 million. So this was obviously something that took a lot of time. Initially back in 2019, we bought our primary place of residence. This is something that my wife, Andrea, really wanted. She wanted us to buy our own home. So that's what we did first. Obviously a much better way to make money is through rent vesting, but the returns that we've had on actually owning our own home have just been amazing. You know, the ability to just do whatever you want. So we did that first. So just before we bought our primary place of residence, my business started to really take off. And what that meant was that my serviceability was drastically increasing. So it was about halfway through building our primary place of residence where I actually had a lot of extra cash that I could throw at different projects. So I figured, well, how about we look at investment properties? If we can do one, why can't we do two? So we started looking around different buyer's agents, and eventually we found a buyer's agent that we thought would be quite good, and went through the process of buying a house with them. And they secured us a house up in Thornlands, which is in Queensland. So back in 2020, things in Queensland were a lot cheaper. And we picked up this house, which is about 40 minutes from the city, for $547,000 Australian dollars. So that was the first one. This was one that we built for a number of different reasons. You can capture more of the negative gearing benefits, and of course you don't have as many dramas when it comes to maintenance when you have a new build, which also has warranty, as opposed to, you know, some of the older properties that sometimes need a lot of work. So that was the first one. We bought that, we sat on that for a little while, and whilst this was happening, I continued to work really hard on my business to try and scale that up as much as I possibly could. And things blew up. You know, I stopped drinking, the revenue of my business doubled, and we had an absolutely massive year, which means that I had even more surplus cash flow that I could work with. So I don't think it was 2021, but it was 2022 that we went under contract for a house in Adelaide, in a suburb called Manopara, which is about 30 minutes from the CBD. And whilst that was actually under contract, our buyer's agent is a great mate of mine. He gave me a call and he said, look, I've just had this other property that's collapsed. You know, the buyer, you know, you just couldn't close on the deal. So I was just wondering if this is something you'd be interested in. And I was like, oh my God, okay, here we go. So we're already under contract for this one and we're getting finance sorted. But I spoke to the mortgage broker. I said, is this possible? Are we able to buy the second one at the same time? And he looked at the numbers. He said, look, it's going to be pretty tight, but I think we can do it. So here I am on my honeymoon, mind you, going through all of these documents, trying to organize 2 separate finance applications, closing credit cards to increase my borrowing power. It was a lot of work, especially because some of these lenders, they just want everything. They want to know everything about you, which is crazy. So I did that. So yeah, we managed to close the deal on both of these houses. So one of them was in Springfield Lakes, up in Queensland also. And yeah, of course, the one in Manopara. So that took the total of our real estate portfolio to 4. Now, since then, I've kind of been tapped out of serviceability. You could imagine that buying, you know, this many houses comes with a lot of debt. We're sitting on about $2.2 million worth of debt. But it wasn't quite enough. I wanted to go one more. So we've actually recently, in the last year and a half, picked up another property, which is a commercial property in Nerang, which is in the Gold Coast. So as you can tell, I really like Queensland. It's performed exceptionally well. So yeah, we've picked that one up, and I'm going to continue to hold those properties for probably the next 7 years or so. They've generated a lot of equity. I wouldn't mind getting a couple more. I wouldn't mind getting one or two more, but the issue is definitely going to be serviceability. So if I can drastically increase my income, which I'm always working towards, then it's certainly possible. But if not, we can just sit on that and we have a plan, which I'll explain more a little bit later in this video. One of the things that I want to talk about was the strategy behind our property portfolio, because it's one thing just to accumulate properties over time, but eventually you want to do something with that, right? Essentially what we're going to do is hold these properties for the next 7 years, and then we're going to sell them down over a couple of financial years to try and minimize the capital gains tax, and then we are going to put that into a commercial building. So I'm actually going to split this up between one commercial property that'll sit around the 4 to 5 million mark, and the rest is going to be going into private equity, which will help to fund developers. So generally the returns on that are about 10%. If you take the first mortgage, which is what I'll be doing with this sum of money, you can also go second mortgage and get like 13, 14%, but obviously it's a lot more risky to be doing that. So with a sum of money like this, we're definitely going to be going first mortgage, which means that, you know, something would have to go drastically wrong for you to even lose a bit of that money. So yep, commercial property and private equity is going to be the way to go. And eventually when that's all said and done, that's going to be throwing off about 250,000 a year. Take that 250,000 and then we're going to put that into the loan that we'll take out for the commercial property. And then over a couple of years, the amount is going to increase as the debt decreases. So the cash flow will be closer to like 350,000. And then at that point, you can essentially do whatever you want. So I like to talk to multiple large language models when it comes to checking ad performance, because then I can see if there's some familiar threads with both of them to get an actual true answer. So it looks like there's one ad in particular that's doing the best. We've got two that are doing quite well. Facebook's spending the budget on the other one, I guess because it's a little bit more controversial. There's a bit more of a click-through rate, but the cost per landing page view is actually lower on the other one. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Right, we have just wrapped up those changes, so we are going to export this one now. How exciting, and off the computer goes. So as I've said, I own two businesses. The first one is obviously Blacklist Productions, which is our video and photo production company that we work across with business and also with music. But the second one that I own is a gym. I am the co-owner of MacArthur CrossFit, so I think we need to head down there, do a bit of a workout, and I can take you guys through the gym and what we've got down there. Fantastic. Well, we are headed down to the gym now. The gym is about 12 minutes away from my place, so nice and close, which is fantastic. So we took over this gym about 11 months ago, and we've made a lot of changes in that time. There's certainly a lot more I want to do, but I think a lot of these changes have been positive. We've grown the gym to about 80 members so far. There's still a lot more work that we need to do there. I'm looking forward to having that up around 130, 150, but all in time, you know, you need time to build that community. We started with about 52 members and we've done a fair few different things. You know, I thought it would actually grow quite similar to the video business, but there's actually a lot of things that are quite different. But essentially, the strategy has just been dump money into paid ads and then get good leads. Some of them good, some of them not so good, that's for sure. But then it's also a number of different things. It's like fostering that community aspect has been a really big part of the gym. You know, it's not so much a thing for video. You know, for video, you just need to make people look cool or find a way to generate ROI for their business. But growing a gym is very much about the community and a lot of the upsells. You know, we offer a lot of extra things for people at the gym, so we tend to focus on that. So yeah, we're gonna head down there and have a bit of a look, and we'll show you guys what we've got there. But this is essentially what the day-to-day looks like. You know, it's not all parties and yachts and just hanging out chilling. You know, there's a lot of work under the hood which allows you to get to a $3.5 million net worth. You know, you got to make sure that things are working, things are running across all aspects of the business, marketing, finance, and even as organizations grow, you just end up with more challenging problems. You know, you might not be doing as much of the day-to-day, but you just end up with, you know, issues that are more challenging and require a little bit more thought, and you know, your decision affects a lot more people. So just for a bit of background, I grew up in a small town called Appin, which has less than 2,000 people. It's about to get very big. There's a lot of development about to happen there, but when I was growing up, it was very much a small town. And both my parents, very middle class. Mum was a flight attendant. Dad is a diesel mechanic. They're still working away. They supported me very much, but we never had, you know, boatloads of money. But what they did give me was a great work ethic. You know, one of the things that I think is most important is that in this world, no one is coming to save you. You need to be self-reliant and never expect anything from anyone. And it's those principles that I've carried forward in my life, which has allowed me to get what I've gone on to do. So yeah, I think that's one of the most important traits, I think, is that, you know, you need to believe in yourself, you need to back yourself, and if you want something done, you need to do it yourself. Rightio, we are just about here at the gym. We are going to be pulling up and we shall go inside and I'll show you what we've got. Perfect. Oh, there we go. We have finished up at the gym and we're headed back home. Gonna have dinner with the missus and yeah, probably do a bit of work tonight. We'll see what else needs to be done, but you know, there's always something to do. Because that'll also help with the ad targeting as well, because now the way Meta's system works is that the creative is the targeting. You know, they've got enough data now that they can actually like target shit based on the actual ad rather than the descriptors. And yeah, I mean, to me, that looks pretty good to go. That's how I'd set up, or how I have set up my ads. So done. Awesome. See ya. And that is the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps get these videos out to more people. Hope you learn a few things, and we'll see you in the next one.